Who's scruffy looking?
A little while ago, I tried to do a Q&A video on this channel because my friend told me that people love Q&As and it would be fun. Alas, he, another friend of mine, and one other person were the only 3 people to send in questions. So that was a huge F, but we're slowly getting to 200 subscribers, so maybe I'll try again someday. Please subscribe if you haven't already. However, one of the questions that was sent in was, what is the best medium for Star Wars to tell stories in going into the future? Since we're in a bit of a content hiatus at the moment, I thought it'd be a good idea to look at some of Lucasfilm's options, and then I'll share what I think is the smartest play. And I think I want you to do the same down in the comments, but wait until the end because I'm going to be sharing lots of numbers in this one. Okay, let's get this out of the way first. What exactly are Lucasfilm's options going forward in terms of media to produce in? We have the publishing sector, that's books and comics. There's video games that are currently owned by EA, television and streaming, and of course the feature-length films. All very good options and options Lucasfilm has had forever. I'll break down each medium by how accessible it is to fans and how creative the stories can be, how much it costs to make, and then of course how much it can make in the long run. Let's start with publishing. Out of all the media that Lucasfilm has a hand in, I would safely assume that publishing is the cheapest option out of all of them. I'm not an expert in book or comic publishing, but I'll venture to guess that your only costs are the contracts that Lucasfilm has with its writers, and the publisher of course, and then things like editing, cover design, and formatting. All in all, it could be 5 figures to cost a single book, but they do sell a lot. In 2015, 2 million Star Wars books were sold. It features around $15 a piece. That's $30 million in revenue. You can tell almost any story you can dream up to in a book, and there are so many good ones. You can check out this video for some of those. But unfortunately, they're just not that accessible. Lots of folks don't have the time to sit down and read a book or have the attention span to. So, as much as I love Star Wars publishing, it's not my pick for the main focus of the future. Video games are an interesting idea for the future. The last couple of years, we've seen some really good games in Battlefront 2 and Jedi Fallen Order. Star Wars Squadrons is shaping up really nicely, and the Jedi Fallen Order sequel are coming soon as well. Statistically, the gross revenue of a video game proportionally works out to sort of the same as books and comics. A AAA game costs around $80 million, maybe a little more by today's standards, or so dollars to make, but just for example, Battlefront 2 sold 12 million units for a $600 million revenue. You can almost tell any story you'd like in a video game as well, with the right team, and then accompany it with DLC. Paid DLC, of course.
Move this man!
And nevertheless, it will suffer in the long run because video games are proportionally just as inaccessible as books are. They aren't particularly enjoyable if you aren't good at it or simply can't get through the game, or if you don't even have the system they release it on. Video games, well, I like them more, but I don't think it's the future. The big one, of course, is the feature films, the clear backbone of the franchise. And now that the Skywalker saga is wrapped up, the future is wide open. Taika Waititi has just announced to have his own movie coming up, which is super exciting because I love his work. Kevin Feige is taking the walk across the Disney lot and is coming over to produce his own film too, but none has me more excited than the Rian Johnson trilogy, which is apparently still in development. Star Wars movies are expensive to make, but have made $2.07 billion, $1.05 billion, $1.3 billion, $393 million, and $1.07 billion each. That's over $5.5 billion worldwide. And that's just the box office revenue. That doesn't even include the merchandise. So it would make sense that this would be the way that Disney and Lucasfilm are pointing mainly for the future. And that's probably true. But realistically, only one of these movies can come out every year. And quite frankly, even once a year may be too much. The time between The Last Jedi and Solo really hurt that film's revenue. Star Wars fatigue is incredibly real. The proof is in the numbers. And from a fan's point of view, we only get to see one director make his or her mark on the franchise at a time, and for me at least, that can be disappointing. I love seeing different visions at work in the Star Wars universe. So, while movies are the way to go, I think, sometimes I also think maybe there's a better option. In all honesty, I think Star Wars should seriously consider making its television and streaming department the focus of the future. Clearly, The Clone Wars was a huge hit. Rebels was almost just as big of a success. The Mandalorian completely took over the internet during its run, and Baby Yoda merch sells out almost every chance it gets. And now we'll be getting more seasons of The Mandalorian, the Cassian Andor series, the Kenobi series, and a female-centric Star Wars show by Leslie Headland. All the while, Rebels and Clone Wars sequels rumors continue. Honestly, Lucasfilm seems to be doubling down on TV, and I don't blame them. And, for the first time in history, Disney has its own way to stream its content directly to consumers at any rate they please. 10 years ago, a Star Wars TV show that wasn't animated was almost impossible to do. Budgeting and production technology just wasn't quite there to make a weekly series. After watching The Mandalorian Gallery on Disney Plus and seeing the volume and action and their process, I have zero doubts that this can be done nowadays. The budget for The Mandalorian was quite literally record-setting and reportedly netted the company a loss in revenue. But that's not confirmed. All things I would imagine are growing pains, of course, with shows of this caliber. Even in the gallery episodes, they talk about how much more streamlined the process gets towards the end of the show. The real win in Star Wars TV shows comes for the fans. You get a lot of really quality, movie-level content, and you can put out multiple shows at a time. Not only that, but different directors can do each episode, giving the show different flares, while it's under the supervision of one producer. Star Wars fans are obsessed with building the galaxy out and seeing more and having it all be given in super high quality, and I really don't blame them. Television and stream shows are more accessible than books and video games and are faster, cheaper, and quicker to produce than a movie with almost the same quality. Well, what do you guys think? Is television the way to go for the future of Star Wars? Or should Star Wars continue to focus on movies? Or should they go a completely different direction that I didn't mention here? And let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.